Hello folks, Bobo here. Here's a funny standard matchup for you. On the left side of the screen, that's blue-red tempo Drake, sort of tempo blue-red burn deck, and on the right that's red-green energy aggro, the build that's really focused on just going deep for Pummella. So expect to see that going on. It is pretty funny indeed. Um, And while the energy deck is somewhat refined, even though going deep on energy, like with the Pummella, maybe is not the best strategy within that archetype. Um, but the blue-red deck is really not refined. It's a prototype. It's not great mana, and a lot of it has to be tuned and smoothed out. So let's see how it works. A couple of aggro decks that can do stuff in early turns, and both can basically just produce massive amounts of damage with a single attack. Yeah, the blue-red deck goes for mulligan down to 6. Yeah, it's been light on lands, and I think not sure if after this matchup or within it, we would be moving towards at least one more land for the blue-red deck. And yeah, reconsidering some of the card choices. Not really changing that much yet because, well, there are some problems with the blue-red deck on the left, but it's hard to instantly figure out how to fix them. So we defined some problems, but I'm not sure yet how to fix it. So Sansa, on one hand, might seem like obvious choice for the deck, but I wanted to see if there is a future for this very burn tempo oriented build without senses. So moving slightly away from control elements, moving more on madness, burn, and just extra punches. So we haven't tested like the deck all that much to see thoroughly with we wanted to slow down the deck a bit more. It's a safe choice definitely, but it doesn't mean that it actually helps the deck overall. But yeah, the red-green deck, as far as the path of going sort of all-in on Pummella goes, that's probably a quite decent version of it. Although the one that top 8'd was it Montreal, or no, I think there was one in Santiago, Chile, where there was one in top 8, one energy aggro. That one was quite mid-range. It had Tireless Tracker main decks, a main deck and Planeswalkers and more on the side, so it wasn't, that focused or anything. It was just very value-based deck, I would say. But that also could provide some quick punches, but it also had healing only on the sideboard, for example. I know, was it there? Yeah, it was in the sideboard, like 3 copies, just as a, generically decent card to side in the matchups where you can just take out some efficient cards which are just basically dead in some matchups. It was a pretty greedy block there to, try to stem the bleeding a little bit more and try to, block the. Was it? Yeah, he blocked my Sovereign of Conduit, and I had a Blossman defense to pump it and eat it for breakfast. Yeah, because this is a Pummella deck, so don't be surprised if the silly pun in the title, like Pummella Anderson. Thing is really far from going off, and when you play such a card main deck in a deck like this, you really want a lot of cheap spells. But because this is a bum deck, so basically Magma Spray here is a proxy of a shock, because somehow I couldn't find my shocks. I found my sprays because that's like the default like 1 mana down spell, sort of. But this deck actually wants the shock because shock can go face, and so it's not only narrowed down to creatures, and also if there are just no creatures on the board and you just want to get your Fingerknives going or your Storm Chaser going, your Drake pumps, etc. So yeah, you do want to you know, have the ability just to throw those spells. So me just having a land and then let me heal in hand. And I have 6 energies, so technically I could use up all of it to save the Pummella, but this deck can really use those counters outside Pummella for many cards, so yeah, just not worth it. But yeah, I guess he just took the opportunity to get rid of the most threatening card on board. Technically, though, if you would know my hand, you would know that the actual threat was the cub here. So the beatdowns continue. You had to inefficiently use the Fury Temper there, just tapping out and not really removing much counters from the thing. So I'm explaining to him that the correct thing to do here is actually to block Servant. I can make a really big cub, but he's not gonna take all that much damage. And yeah, apologies for not pulling out, you know, the phone or anything with life pads, but yeah, mine really needed some charging, and we wanted to record more matchups just to, you know, bring you like various kinds of material and content. But he somehow disagrees with my line of play. He wants me to really use up energy or something. I know. Wait, what was it? No, I just simply had another Blossom defense, but I had to talk to him to convince him that actually, you know, in the dark it's right to block Servant, because it's only, you know, actual removal or the defense that matters here. But if I have nothing, then yeah. And you know, Helium uses up to energy per turn, although with the cub out, you kind of break even on that, but you know, a lot of cards in the deck use energy counters, so it's not like I will never run out of it at all. So yeah, but before actual damage, I decided to put 1 counter because, well, I'm only going down 2 energy and still had 6 left. So now he's really in the tank and try to figure out like how he's gonna try to stabilize the board. Yeah, life pad is not gonna be too important here because, well, both decks are very streamlined and trying to, you know, provide 2-turn kill chains basically. So instead of refall flow on the cub, and that just also doesn't make sense to me. He's trying to force me just to use all the energy, but he doesn't realize that I'm not like a Marvel deck or anything. Energy counters on one hand are important, but at the same time, there are many threats in the deck, so the creature base is quite diverse, and soon And if he has like slow draw like this, then you know I can just try to close out the game by attacking with a bunch of grizzly bears. It's fine. Um, if you put sweltering suns into this blue-red deck, then it's kind of like a different story. Uh, Although, like with vehicles and zombies on the horizon, maybe it's pretty cool, but you know, this is basically like an all-in burn build that tries to get Finger Eyes going or Drake going or Bedlam going, and then speed it up with that one mana cantrip and things like that, or give it unblockable, so on. Just yeah, just burn down or attack down the opponent as fast as possible. So adding senses and suns is an option, but that will be a different deck. Doesn't mean it will be better or worse. So I think both have the right to be there. But then if you add those slow cards to the deck, you're just much better off to be some sort of hybrid or just a Dynavolt Tower deck and so on. But yeah, both GPs this last weekend had 3 to 4 Marvel decks in the top 8s and then some aggro decks. So the format is getting somewhat solved or stabilized. But I've seen on camera, uh, black red control. There's some other weird decks. I've seen like blue white flash or tempo. Which is not a huge surprise. The deck is just popping up here and there, but still not getting consistent results. Because there are like quite a few paths to go with that deck. And I actually fancied the most the vehicles version of Blue Eye, but I wasn't happy about it overall because I've just had some really awkward draws, drew a bunch of things in the wrong order, and then easily lost the games that I should have won if I drew like a little bit better or something like that. So yeah, the inconsistency is really like throwing me off like Blue Eye. That's why I'm by default probably on Asper Control for Amsterdam, just because you have like all the all the best answers in the format, and then pretty decent threats too. And I don't know, I just feel much more comfortable with that deck than with something like Blue Red Control that I've only played against, but I've seen it a lot on camera, and it just doesn't feel like it's something I would particularly enjoy. So I'd rather have a uh, like okay deck that I'll be just like comfortable with and know how to play inside. So yeah, it's something that I'm trying to um, transfer to all formats I play. So, for example, for Copenhagen, it seems like I'm much more comfortable with the Tron version of Eldrazi rather than the band. Just kind of get used to it. So that means that I'll probably do less mistakes with it. And yeah, of course, there's some other good decks in the format. And Soldier might not be the best deck in Modern, but I like it. I like playing Absent Company much more, but I just felt like it's just too inconsistent and unreliable. What else? Well, uh, really liked testing with the Blue-White SRAM Reservoir combo in Standard, but again, the deck is just too inconsistent. You can win against aggro, but against like blue control decks or sometimes against even non-blue control decks, you could struggle if they hit a bit more interaction than you're prepared for. And that actually happens a lot. Sometimes you just get there and they don't draw the answers, just draw their own half of the deck. but it's gonna be rare. It's all on card choices for the decks in question. Yeah, again, gets used to me flickering cards in my hand upside down, as well as like playing them upside down. Well, one's feeds another, kind of. I know, it's a bit of like a meditational. It has a bit of a psychotherapeutic effect for me. Just to flicker everything upside down, I mean, hold the cards in my hand upside down. So here's a turn 1 Neonate from Blue Red. Reason why I have this in the deck, because this is the really called tempo version with a bunch of 1-mana cantrips from the Zendikar block. So I wanted to 1-drop that at the same time, you know, had this looting capability, so to justify running Fury Tempers, stuff like this. Also because it's manas, it's hard to block, so you chip in for some damage early on. So it does a lot of things. So no big surprise that this card has been like popping up in more than one archetype in Modern, for example, and it's pretty strong in Standard too. It never looks like a super amazing card because it does a few different things all in one card, so that's why it's actually a good card overall. Yeah, Thin and Ice this early on the play is actually huge, but what is it? Something like a top deck Harness Lightning would actually be pretty sick here. I can take some damage from the Neonate for a while, for a few turns basically. There's not gonna be anything like Scroungers or stuff like that. And yeah, Black Red Aggro is actually a pretty sweet deck. But you have to cook it right. Alex also struggles from inconsistent draws. Well, here's a Voltaic Brawler, turn 2 on my side. Here is the contrib that says creature can be blocked this turn. Yeah, Smith chips in for some damage. He can cash it in now, decides not to, which is kind of weird. So I would kind of want to hit land number 3 here, or get some action going. I suppose he's just keeping it around for Fury Temper at hand. Yeah, I had Harness Lightning here. Sensor wouldn't have helped here, for example. This spell would have, but it's not a great card main deck still. Yeah, Spell Pierce would have been great in Standards, obviously. There is Negate at least, but oh well. Okay. Voltaic Brawler, hit the opponent. Here's some Chaser, which is obviously fine, but no Fed land. I don't know why he doesn't want to cash in the Neonate and try to dig for the deck, and dig for some burn for this Brawler that I can only pump with its ability when it attacks. So when I'm not attacking, he could try to shock it away. I don't know why he still keeps the Neonates around. Well, it's extra damage, but in this position, I think he just needs to load into Lancer removal to try to keep up. Obviously, it's been good for him this game that I've been kind of like flooding a little bit. Okay, now we can trip for Storm Chaser. So it's gonna become a 2/4 thanks to Provis. So if he contributes, I can't block it no matter what. Okay, chips in for more damage. Why he does not cash in this Neonate, I just don't get it. He values those chip-ins with 1 damage at the time way too much, I think. Even if I like had 4 lands and didn't play anything last turn, doesn't mean that, you know, he should keep it around for this long. It just feels like if he also hasn't been playing much, maybe his hand of full of free drops, then it just doesn't really make any sense. Okay, so he kept it around for temper, which was like one way to, you know, justify keeping Neonate around. So that +4/+4 trample pump is a sorcery spell. That's why I couldn't, you know, try to catch him. I forced him to use it now, though, so that's kind of like it's okay. This is not too bad. But I'm like low on frets. So that's a bit annoying here. We didn't have like good sideboards for either deck. Well, the red green had a decent sideboard, but the blue red didn't have a decent sideboard, and also I just don't think the sideboards changed a lot of things for these decks, and the game plan and the way the games play out is gonna be more or less similar between main and side games. Here's just a servant, but I'm really flooding out here. He's getting his revenge, basically. Both decks really don't play that many lands. But, the red-green one doesn't really have cantrips or loot effects and stuff. That's a third Storm Chaser on board. So imagine if he had a bunch of like 1-drop spells, of which the deck actually plays quite a few. So that would be like 3 to 6 tempo. Of course, Hard to Kieran is a problem for that deck, but then again, you can sometimes chain enough of spells to grow the guys quite large because of Provis, or just basically flip the thing in the ice or something, or just cast a Drake, speed it up, give it unblockable, things like that. So you could have draws like this. Plus, you can kind of contain the Hard to Kieran from the opposing side just by, you know, cashing in those shocks and tempers and flows on the creatures that are supposed to, you know, animate the Hard Kieran. Gideon could be a problem sometimes, but you have a lot of flyers and so on. So I do really like this deck, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out for more standard and modern in the next few days before this GPs. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.